In this video, I'm going to talk to Nathan and Teri about the Wargaming Couple and how it seems to be something we're seeing a bit more of. So welcome to the hotel room studio here at AdeptiCon. I did 2 videos last year with, I did the guys from Rec Age and I did Miranda and Codex Dan. And so yeah, I've kind of set things up again. And how's your convention been going anyway, the 2 of you?
Good. Yeah. Exhausting. There's so much to see and so much to do, right?
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
it's been kind of... I woke up this morning thinking it was Sunday. And then I was like, oh man, I got so much more to do. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, but it's actually Saturday, which is nice. Yeah. But on the other hand, you know...
You did that too on Thursday.
Yeah, on Thursday I'm like, it is clearly Saturday this week. So we went out for dinner at a restaurant and I'm like, and I'll have like the special there. Teri's like, it's not Saturday. I'm like, God, what day is it? Like,
yeah.
Wow.
So the reason I wanted you guys to come over and talk is because I know you two, and both of you are also obviously very into social. Mm-hmm. You've got the channel and work with Geek and Sundry. You've been a podcaster in the past, and you guys do streams together where you sit next to each other and work on projects and stuff like that. And so you're a wargaming couple, and that's kind of well, we're starting to see it's a newer thing, but we're starting to see more of it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think when I talk about like how I got into gaming, it is because of this man.
Sure.
So if for
and his shameful Space Marine collection.
It was funny. Like I tell this story because like we had moved in together for university, and I was clearing out his closet so we could get some stuff out. And like in the back top corner of his closet was a box, and I was
unmarked box, as nondescript as you could get.
like one of those "you're fired" banker boxes.
Right, yeah.
And I was sure, like I was like, it's his porn, because back then, not to date ourselves, porn came in the form of paper, and that sort of thing.
And
so I was like, oh my God, it's his porn. I found his porn, and so I pull the box out, and it's light, and it makes this rattling noise, and I'm like, what the heck is this? And I pull it down, and it is some of the most shoddily painted miniatures I've ever seen. And he had them since he was 14.
Yeah.
And so I asked him about it, and he's like, okay, don't judge me. Bye. And he came out of the closet as a wargamer, and we've kind of been involved ever since.
Yeah. But you've, both of you have been very involved. Did you work for Games Workshop, kind of?
So we both worked for Games Workshop.
Both of us have at different times.
Yeah. But now you've gotten into a bunch of different games. I know you guys, you were playing a lot of Firestorm Armada, right?
I was. Nowadays I'm playing quite a bit of War Machine and Malifaux. That's pretty much all I'm doing here this weekend at AdeptiCon is just... honestly, pick-up gaming. It was one of the things where just tried to pace myself instead of signing up for like 14-hour-long events. Just do the Iron Arena, do the Achievement League for Malifaux, play games when you feel like it, hang out, shop the vendors hall like 5-6 times a day. My wallet is sadder that I'm not stuck in an event for 14 hours at a time. But so that's kind of where I'm at right now. But I mean, throughout all of it, because of the podcast and because of your channel and the things we do together, I think we have probably touched more miniatures games than I would say 95% of all mini war gamers, simply because, hey, let's review this, let's try this out. It's content is content.
You have a built-in opponent.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. Yeah, because those of us who we do the wargaming thing and our spouses are not into it, you've got to go elsewhere to find someone else to play with. Yeah. But the two of you can be working on models, and then you guys can play games of War Machine or Malifaux or whatever, like right at home.
It's one of those things, like we play a minigame like full out, like something that'll take a substantial amount of time, at least once a week. Yeah. We've got the tables to set it up, and we'll make it happen. And it's on one hand, it's detrimental to our wallet because we don't have a filter. So when I talk to games with people, oftentimes they're like, oh, I was looking at that, but none of my friends at the club were willing to pick it up, so I couldn't get into it. We don't have that problem. It's the opposite problem, where it's like we have so many games and so many miniatures, and we're always trying. So like we play a lot of unpainted at home.
Sure.
just to get the feel of the game, and then if we really love it, we put the paint on the minis.
Well, yeah, and especially with us, because again, that built-in opponent thing, like for us, it's just like, if the price point seems reasonable to get a 2-player starter box, we'll just spring for it. I like the minis, it's $80, let's give this a shot.
I mean, even if it doesn't become like your new thing, you know, but if you still play it a bunch of times and you have a good time putting the you know, the models together, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I mean, like that's part of the reason why, like I said, we've touched so many minis games, you know, and even then, if you were like, all right, name your top 3 favorite games, it's really hard. Like, yeah, I'm playing a lot of Malifaux and War Machine. They're in there. What's number 3? Oh, is it Wild West Exodus? Because I love it. Is it Relic Knights? I also really like that. Is it Wrath of Kings? Oh, but I did just buy Dark Age this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, but like, I could just go through all of these minis games because, again, that barrier, the social community barrier, is gone. You know, we got into Bushido for an Adepticon, I think 5 years ago, when they ran a tournament, and we were the literal 2 only people in all of Alberta with Bushido, but it's fine because we could still play games
against each
together.
other. Yeah,
but it also makes it easier to be champions and propagate that game as well, because as 2 people who know the game, we can show people how to play. We can kind of convert as well. And so we found that when we moved to Windsor, they didn't have a Malifaux community. That community showed up.
Yeah.
Because we were just like, no, this is a great game. We can push it and do all the things.
What do you think would be good for people who are, you know, viewers who are like, I like war games, but I don't know that my spouse does? What would be the way to, I mean, you know, how do you kind of move them sort of into that, or see if they've got the interest, or,
hey,
you know?
do you know someone who wrote a book about that?
I was going to ask about that same thing, as a matter of fact. That's a good point.
So I cover stuff about, like, finding games that have some sort of thematic appeal to the person you're playing. Because when we talk about miniature war games, there is no such thing as a casual mini wargamer. Whether you're competitive or you're immersive narrative, the commitment to the game you play is the same, no matter where you fall on that spectrum. So if war games are your kind of intention and goal, you know, it might end up being something that they get into, whether it's building or painting or something else. But if playing is kind of the thing you want to share with them, you have to find something that they're interested enough to, like, roll some dice with you with.
Yeah.
And that comes from theme and narrative.
Well, and one of the best pieces of advice you have ever given, and I think it's even in your book, is, for the love of God, don't get them into the game you currently play.
No.
Because it doesn't matter
how
much you feel like you're pulling your punches. You are going to one-sided dismantle them in ways that you can't even imagine, because you have a fundamental understanding of that game. A really good way to get in with your spouse is find that shared narrative, find that shared aesthetic that you like, and start that game together, because that way you're both kind of at that same level.
On the same page.
On the same page.
Yeah. If you know the rules inside and out, that's not a game that you should try to teach, say, your wife or your husband.
Yes.
You should find a game that you're both dumb at, and then kind of build up.
There's a section on my book about playing with your spouse, and there's lots of other things when you get really mean about it that you can do. And even when you're not intending to, that sometimes happens. And games are the worst thing to have someone sleep on the couch over.
Right, yeah.
Right?
No, games should be fun. I say it all the time. And so sleeping on the couch usually isn't fun.
No. And so I think the learning of a game together is a really fun experience too, because even if you mess up all the rules, you can still you're still intentionally trying to play fair, and because the person on the other side of the table is someone you care deeply about,
right?
You're more interested in how they're enjoying the experience, and so those are the moments where you have these really where when you find that game, that becomes an experience that you share that is unique, and it's unique to you, and that, for me, that's what's special about wargaming with Nathan. There are some games I will only play with him, and there are some things that I'll only, like, do in that sphere. But you can really play around with it within the structure of a relationship.
Well, and the other thing that I think when you're looking at games is, yes, you're learning together, but if you're a big diehard 40K gamer, or even War Machine, like any of these large scale sort of army games, asking your spouse who's new to the whole hobby to come in and paint 50 to 70 models is a huge barrier, but there are so many beautiful skirmish games. Like, hey, why not? Hey, I really like Infinity. Let's both do it 5 and 5. I can teach you to, I can show you some painting techniques. We can get these done in no time and do that. So I think that the fact that today, in 2017, where we're having this sort of renaissance of gaming, where, as I say to people, I'm like, what is your favorite setting of anything? Because there is a game for that now. I mean, walk through the vendor hall. We've got pirates. We've got Roman gladiators.
Cowboys.
We've got cowboys.
Yeah.
Historical,
obviously.
Aliens versus Predator. Like, it does not matter. Whatever you like, there is a game that matches that.
Yeah, I agree. So you two have a daughter. Are you making a new little wargamer?
She is, like, I feel like in a lot of ways she is kind of developing the way I developed. So I came in from a background that was chess. So my father played chess. He hustled on the streets of Manila. He taught me how to play chess when I was 5. So she's in the chess club now doing all that stuff. And we're getting we buy a lot of board games that have components in them where she's now starting to paint those.
Cool.
So she's coming up into it, and I think for her it's, again, focusing on theme and aesthetic that interests her, right? And so there are interesting things out there right now. I think wargaming, it's something that's probably, like, I'll push until, like, she's 14, 15, just because, thematically it's not necessarily the easiest to explain and that sort of thing, but, like, building her up to that is not, it's not foreign, it's not strange, because there are all these other games
in
that have
household.
that also have that high quality component element, and so like we can find those kind of touch points and build her piecemeal and then bring them all together at some point and just make her a wargamer.
That'll be good. So if people are interested in your book, The Civilized Guide to Tabletop Gaming, where do they find something like that?
It is available at most quality bookstores. You can also ask your friendly local gaming store. If you're an ebook reader, all the major retailers who do that stuff have them all. So Kindle and
there's stuff beyond that in here. There's all kinds of things about wargaming. Excellent.
So it covers the gamut of tabletop gaming. It has some stuff for role players. It has stuff for people who are new. It has stuff for people who are teaching games to other people. It has stuff. I call the part where we're hosting gaming night. I call it the Martha Stewart LARP, right? Because that's what it is. It also has stuff for, like, if you want to be a hobby champion in your community. If you want to start like podcasting or vlogging, like the part where you share your passion with other people. There's a little bit of that in there too.
Yeah.
Like, so there's all sorts of kind of touch points. So what I say is the entire book isn't for everyone, but everyone will find something in the book for them.
Cool. Well, Nathan and Teri, I'm glad I was able to reach out to you real quickly on chat and say, hey, would you guys want to come upstairs? And it was a good time. So I'm glad you guys are leaving when?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Are you guys gonna stick around for the Crystal Rush?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank these two for coming up and checking out and check out the book as well, The Civilized Guide to Tabletop Gaming, and maybe learn yourself about how to teach your spouse how to love wargaming. There
is also a section that has all of her stories of the horrible things that we have done to each other and not to do them.
Not to do them.
Nice.